Hey guys, just got done watching 2012's Crossbearer, directed by Adam Ahlbrandt, and it was also written by him as well. Now, this film is only really about 65 minutes long. The movie says it's 71 minutes, but that's the credits, the intro, the usual stuff. So at 65 minutes, it's not really a very long film. But I feel like that does it justice because I feel if it had gone on for like an hour and a half, it might have got stale, might have got old fairly quickly. So one of the things I liked about this film was the acting wasn't that great, but it had that whole kind of grindhouse feeling to it. You remember those days in the late 70s, early 80s, where you'd see the specs pop up on the screen and all this stuff, and even in the old VHSs and the DVDs. I felt like if this had about that filter on it, it would have been a lot better film. Because for the whole film, all I kept thinking was bad acting, a ridiculous killer. It screams grindhouse, screams old horror grindhouse to me. Now, this film works. It works quite well. And I really, really enjoyed it. So let's get on with the cast and then I will get into the story. So, as always, let's see. Isaac Williams was the crossbearer, and I found him quite entertaining and quite scary. Real psycho. Natalie Jean played Heather, Victoria DePaul played Victoria, Casey Marie played Bunny, Tim Cronin played Mark, Julia Campbell played Cindy, J.D. Brown played Harry, Sean Paul Costello played Anton, Dawn Vaughan played Sugar, and Kelsey Lemon played Roxy. Now, basically what happens is the problem with this film for the main character Heather, is that basically she gets her money from working as a stripper, a pole dancing stripper. And basically she's got a child, she's got a living girlfriend, and she's dating Bunny on the side. Now, she's also got a boss who threatens to kill her and all this other stuff. But the thing is, she's in his office talking to him while he's got porn on the TV. So it's really funny. Because you'll be watching it and all of a sudden you get this. Ready? So I think you need to do this. It's just really funny. You hear noises like... And it's really funny. Now, I don't know if they meant it to be funny like that, but it was. So Heather basically talks to Bunny. And they decide they want to escape. They want to do something to escape. So here comes Victoria, who's got to do a deal with Anton to do with drugs. Now, Anton sells drugs and basically he's at the warehouse and he's with two women who basically you could call his drug friends. Basically, they have sex with him and he's sniffing cocaine off one's bum and one's riding him and the crossbearer comes in and hits one around the head, kills the bloke, chases after the other woman who's in there with him. She hides. Now, the thing, I'm just going to break it up there and talk a minute about this. The crossbearer himself is quite an interesting character. He wears what can only be described as a dirty kind of raggy kind of cloth around his head with little eye holes like and basically what he does is he kills people with a hammer. Now the subtitle to this movie, like subtly done, is the Hammer of God, because the crossbearer is basically spouting religious stuff. Now, he says when he kills certain people that they're sinners and that now they're open to the light of God because they can't do anything. And this really kind of made me go, as somebody who knows a lot about religion and has talked about, had debates with people, I feel like the crossbearer was kind of a bit, over the top. Because he's trying to get the word of God out, but when he kills people, and he's constantly going about sinners. At the very start of the film, he's recording Anton threatening women on the street because he's a pimp. And he's going on about how he sees them every day committing sin, and he's got a camera, and then you see him put his thing on, and it's a good kind of setup. I like the fact that for once in a blue moon, because it doesn't happen a lot, you've got a religious fanatic killer. Now, is that reality? Yes, to a degree, because when it comes to religion, you get your fanatics and you get your good ones. It's like every religion. You can't help it. It always happens. Like politics, like clowns, like, you know, everything. Everything you've got good, you've got bad. So I didn't mind it in that respect. So basically, Mark and another two girls. No, sorry, Mark, Victoria, Bunny, Heather, and this other girl. I just can't remember her name. They turn up at the warehouse after they've been murdered. After Anton and that's been murdered. And basically what happens is they ring on the intercom and he lets them in. They go around, but not before they have this conversation in the car about boring movies and what boring movies and good movies are. Now they mention Eyes Wide Shut being a very boring movie, and how Friday the 13th Part 2 isn't such a bad movie. Now, then Heather, I think it was Heather, was going on about how if women got their breasts out in a film, it's going to attract people watching it. And I'm sitting there going, hold on a minute ago you were having a go at him for not recording him doing porn when he records him having sex with women all the time. And they were saying if women's breasts are out, isn't that technically the same thing? I know it's not porn, but people are naked in porn, so their breasts will be hanging out anyway. So, I don't know, you know, it was like one of those weird things. So basically, they go in the building, they're walking about, he's about to get off with some of them, and then the crossbear turns up with a gun. He's got a gun, and he's got his hammer, and he walks up and shoots Mark, then he shoots at another person, and you're like, bloody hell, he's got a lot of bullets. And then when he gets to when he's walking over to Mark on the floor, like, he throws the gun away. And I'm like, why didn't anybody look to try and get that gun? Mark's crawling away at one point. He doesn't try and crawl in the direction of the gun. So I'm sitting there going, And it just made me laugh, because there's a bit where the woman basically attacks him, hits him over the head, and she's checking her friend Mark, and she doesn't hit him in the head a few more times to kill her, and he just grabs hold of her and punches her, kind of thing, and then he pours like this white acidy stuff on her face, and you're like, oh no. But the effects in this movie are really, really top notch. I really enjoyed the effects. I really enjoyed the characters, even though they were really, really bad to a degree. I enjoyed the story of a lesbian woman wanting to be with a bit on the side who's really her love, and how she kept thinking about, and how you'd get these flashbacks, them hugging and kissing, and it felt real. It felt like real emotion there between them, even though it was a low budget movie. So basically, Heather tells Bunny to hide. So Bunny's hiding, and Heather runs through this door and she shuts it after she goes, help, help, to attract him. So he's running, and that's another thing I liked about the crossbearer. Instead of that walking rubbish where the person's walking constantly and then catch up with him, he's actually running after them, which was great. I enjoyed that. Crossbearer, you know, and I was like, yes, he's running. So that was a change for once. Now, one of the other things I really liked about the movie was the fact that Bunny didn't listen. So Heather gets behind the door and she locks it and she can't open it again. Bunny is standing by the doorway where the crossbear is about to go by. Now, why she isn't hiding further in the room is beyond me. So he starts rambling some stuff, and Bunny just pops out like this. Oh, hello, quick, chase me. So he chases her, smashes her to death, and as that's happening, you've got Heather going like this and thinking of them having sex and everything, and you're just sitting there going, this isn't the time. This isn't the time for this. Hmm. So then basically he looks through this little hole, like this little square hole in the wall, and he starts babbling this stuff. You're the only one left. Ooh, you can't get away. God is watching you. God's gonna get you. And you're sitting there going, hmm. So basically she ends up in this situation, and basically things unfold, and Mark ends up alive, and basically she grabs hold of the crossbow and she hits him in the head, like boom, 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 and he's bleeding, and he's apparently dead. Now, in the world of horror slashers, is he dead? No. At the end, you see him moving, and you're like, oh no. Is he going to get her? No, because she's not in the building anymore. And one way to know is, why was he in the building in the first place? They explained at the beginning about how he lived in there, and how he was weird, and he was a religious fanatic. So anyway, Heather goes back to see Harry. And Harry's like, have you got my effing money, biatch? And she's like, no, but I've got something else. And she kills him. And then after she kills him, she looks up and she thinks of her and Bunny again having sex. And I'm like, this film is full of breasts and female kisses. Now, some of the things I didn't like about this was nearly every woman in the movie had big, massive tattoos on their arms or their body. I didn't like that because I felt the movie was kind of, what's the word? Kind of going in a certain direction. Like, I know they're supposed to be in like this horrible stripper place. I know they're supposed to be prostitutes, some of them. And I know some of them are supposed to be really struggling. But not all women have massive tattoos on their bodies, which made me feel like they were basically friends or they came from a certain place. Because it seemed a bit weird, that. Not that I had anything wrong with it, it just seemed a bit weird that they'd all have tattoos. So, I didn't like that too much. There was a lot of breast shots in this, which is always good. Now, if you watch a horror and you watch a slasher film, you watch it because you want to see the breasts. So don't worry, I'll keep that a secret. So anyway, I was expecting the crossbearer to see one of them naked and say, oh, nudity is a sin or something, and cut the breast off. That would have been great. But anyway, before I sound disturbed. So, one of the scariest things was that old ragged kind of cloth around his head. So all I kept thinking is, it's not clean. What if there's serious mould on there? What if it's got dirt that's going to go up his nostrils and affect him? It was like, oh no. But I've got to hear some of my favourite lines I've written down from the movie. One of them is this. My pussy is waiting for a heavyweight contender. And the bloke replies, yeah, I got that shit like Ali, bitch. Give you a ride on... Oh, here we go. This is what he says. Another bloke. I want to give you a ride on my big, hard thunder bomb. Boom. That was some of my favourite lines from the movie. Now, the film, obviously, is filmed on a low budget. And I'm trying to have a quick look to see if I can see how much. And there is nothing that says it. But it's a good film. It's not a great film by any means. It's a good film. It's got a lot to offer. I feel like if they'd have done the filters a bit and kind of made it more retro, it probably would have worked more. Because it is a good film. I just feel like one of the things that makes it suffer is the HD. The beautiful picture. If it had been like made like retro-y with the specs and some lines, or maybe even some VHS kind of lines, it would have been made it would have felt more real. Because the problem is with movies nowadays is the whole HD effect kind of ruins a lot of what we saw in the 80s. One of the reasons we love 80s VHSs, DVDs, is because we like that old feeling. It's like Psycho. I'm a big fan of the film Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins by Alfred Hitchcock. But one of the things I hate is the Blu-ray. Because the Blu-ray looks too perfect. Back in the days of DVD and VHS, you had lines, you had scratches, and it looked fantastic. You felt like you were watching a truly horrific movie that your eyes were looking into, but it wasn't on the screen. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to feel like in this movie. Because it was great, and I felt like it would have been even better if you'd have had that feeling that you used to have on the old Grindhouse movies. So it's a great film. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because even though it's short, I did enjoy it. The effects in it are great. The acting's not that great. I mean, it goes up and down, but it's not perfect by any means. But then no low budget movie is. And we don't watch it for the acting because we know that people are going to get killed. We want to see good killings. And in this movie, some of them are, some of them not. But once it gets going, there's a bit where it cuts out someone's tongue and a bit where it cuts someone's fingers off. So it is quite good in the gory sense and in the blood sense. But don't expect a classic. Just expect a really good film. This is one of those films that you'll watch, you'll put in your collection, you'll go, this is quite a good film, and you'll watch it again maybe in a year or two, or maybe even sooner, depending on if you've got friends coming round and you need a short movie. One of the things I would say about the movie is that if it at 65 minutes, it works. I think if it had been 25, 30 minutes longer, it probably wouldn't have done. Because it just would have dragged on more. The crossbearer himself, he runs around and he spouts all this stuff. And all I kept thinking was, you're killing people and you believe you're doing it for God. What's going to happen in the end? Now, I don't know if there's going to be a crossbearer 2. I'm guessing not, but it might be. But this came out in 2012 and sequels have come like 3, 4, 5 years later, so it could happen. I did like the character of Heather, who was played by, let me get it right, Natalie Jean. She was pretty good, but still the same old, you know, the same old character kind of acting. So, yeah. So I give it a 4 out of 5. Great film. Not a fantastic film by any means, but great. And guys, I recommend you give it a watch. If you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. If you haven't, then go out and watch it and then let me know. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a lovely day and take care. And remember, it's always a good day